Today I want to share a transformative teaching from Louise Hay, a woman who dedicated her life to showing us the power we hold to heal and change our lives from within. Louise always reminded us of something fundamental, that while we often worry about our health, we don't realize we also have an active role in our healing process. It's not just about going to the doctor and passively waiting for results. It's about looking inward and asking ourselves, what can I do from my mind, from my emotions to support my body? She insisted that we are not passive victims of our bodies, as if we were condemned to suffer without any option. On the contrary, we are active participants in our well-being. Every thought, every belief, every word we tell ourselves has a very real and tangible impact on our overall health. For example, imagine someone receives a difficult diagnosis. A person who sees themselves as a victim might think, there is nothing I can do, my body has failed me, and from that place of resignation, their energy and spirits decline, making the healing process feel much heavier and more burdensome. However, a person who understands what Louise taught might ask, what can I change within myself to support this process of recovery? How can I love and strengthen myself in this very moment? The difference between these two perspectives is immense. One attitude sinks us into despair, while the other empowers us and gives us a sense of control. Louise taught us that no matter what the problem is, we always have the power to participate in our own healing, and that by changing the way we think, we can transform not only our lives, but also our physical bodies. It truly doesn't matter what illness or diagnosis you have. Louise Hay said something very powerful. If you begin to work on your inner world, if you choose to change your thoughts, your beliefs, and the relationship you have with yourself, your health can improve in surprising and miraculous ways. She explained it in a very simple way that I absolutely love. She recounted that she once heard a definition of good health that made so much sense to her, and which in fact remains a great compass for all of us today. Good health, she said, is not simply about not being sick. It is about feeling energetic throughout the day, having a good appetite, sleeping deeply, and waking up feeling completely renewed and refreshed. It is about having a clear mind, a good sense of humor, precision in thinking and acting, and moving with agility rather than clumsiness. But also, and this is absolutely key, good health is about being honest, humble, grateful, and loving, because it's not just about how our physical body feels, but also about how our heart vibrates with positive energy. When you view health in this manner, you realize that healing is not just a physical process, but also an emotional and mental one, and that every single day, with small changes in awareness, you can begin to strengthen that state of integral well-being. So, how are you taking care of yourself today? Not just in your body, but also in your mind and your heart. Many times we are completely unaware of something fundamental. Our own thoughts are actively molding and shaping our lives, not only in what we experience on the outside, but also in what is happening inside our bodies. Louise Hay explained it in a very clear way. The mind can be either our most powerful medicine or our most potent poison. And it's true that it's not enough to want to heal physically if on the inside we continue to feed ourselves with thoughts that are destructive and harmful. Think about it this way. A person who constantly tells themselves, I am a failure, I'm no good, I'll never be able to get ahead, is slowly but surely building an internal landscape of self-destruction. That pain doesn't just stay in the mind with time, it filters into the physical body, manifesting as migraines, anxiety, ulcers, insomnia, or even heart diseases. The body simply acts as a mirror, reflecting the self-abandonment and mistreatment that began so silently within our thoughts. Louise taught us that the very first step to changing our lives and reclaiming our health is to take responsibility for our inner world. Because when we heal our minds, we inevitably begin to heal our bodies as well. Something very important she taught us is that she did not claim to heal anyone. Her true work was something else entirely, to help people realize how their own mental patterns were creating their entire lives, day after day. This included not only their happy experiences, but also their moments of pain and suffering. And the most impactful realization is understanding that these same mental patterns don't just affect our emotions, they also have a direct impact on our physical bodies. Let me give you a clear and somewhat cruel example. A person who lives with constant guilt, anger, or resentment is not just carrying sadness in their heart. Slowly but surely, their body begins to become sick. According to Louise, digestive problems, autoimmune diseases, chronic pain, and even cancer can all have their roots in unresolved emotions that we have been accumulating for years. The mind has the power to create, the mind has the power to destroy, and the mind also has the power to heal. That is why, if we truly want to change our health or our lives, it is not enough to simply treat the symptoms. We need to go much deeper, to look within ourselves and to transform those very beliefs and thoughts that are silently making us sick. Although no one ever wants to get sick, Louise Hay made us see something that can sometimes be hard to accept. Every illness that appears in our body has a purpose. It doesn't arise to punish us or to make us suffer, but rather as a way of warning us that there is something within us that needs to be changed and addressed. Every symptom, every discomfort, every single diagnosis is the body's language telling us, you are holding on to a false idea, a thought that is not serving you well. It's time to wake up and change your course. The key is not to view the illness as an enemy, but rather as an urgent message from our own consciousness. It is an invitation to look inward, to review our beliefs, our fears, and our trapped emotions, and to transform them. The body never lies. It is always speaking to us. The question is, are we willing to listen to it and make the necessary changes? When we are going through an illness or a physical problem, it is very easy to fall into complaining and thinking, I just want this to go away. I can't take it anymore. But Louise Hay reminded us of something fundamental. Complaining about or rejecting our condition does not bring about healing. On the contrary, it distances us from the crucial lesson that this situation is here to show us. This is not a time to blame yourself or to punish yourself with thoughts of what you did wrong. It is a time to look at yourself with deep compassion, to observe your inner world, and to ask yourself, what do I need to let go of? What part of me is in need of healing? True healing begins when we stop fighting against ourselves, when we release the blame and choose to see our situation as an opportunity to become more complete, more conscious, and more at peace with who we are. It is not a punishment. It is an open door to your deepest healing. When we begin to understand how our thoughts work and how they influence our lives, something truly incredible happens. We stop feeling like victims of what happens to us, and we start to reclaim our power. We realize that we are not trapped by our circumstances, and that we can take conscious control of the changes we want to make. And that moment, that awakening, is not a small thing. It is one of the most exciting and transformative adventures we can ever embark on. Because starting to create your life from a place of consciousness and self-love is like taking back the helm of your own story. It is then that life stops being something we simply endure and starts to become something we choose and build, day by day. Within each of us exists a center of profound wisdom, a deep part that always knows what is best for us, even when on a conscious level we feel lost or frightened. When we are truly ready to make positive changes in our lives, when we sincerely decide to do so, even in silence, something within us is activated. In that moment, we begin to attract, almost like magnets, everything we need to heal and move forward. You might suddenly find a doctor who understands your illness from a deeper perspective, or a book might come into your hands that opens your eyes to how to heal your relationship with money. Or you might meet a person who teaches you with love that you truly deserve to be valued. None of this is a coincidence. It is life responding to that small but significant change that has already occurred within you. Even if you can't see everything clearly right now, there is one truth you can affirm to yourself right now. I have already begun my healing process, because the very first step, the most powerful one, you have already taken the desire to change. Something we often forget is that our body is not a separate entity from us. The body is a perfect mirror of our deepest thoughts and beliefs. Every emotion we feel, every word we tell ourselves in silence, every thought we repeat, all leave an imprint on our bodies. And although we don't always listen to it, the body is always speaking to us. It whispers to us at first with small discomforts or uncomfortable sensations, but if we don't pay attention, it eventually starts to shout at us through pain, illness, or larger physical crises. Every single cell in our body responds to our thoughts. If you constantly tell yourself, "I can't go on, I'm exhausted, everything goes wrong for me," your cells hear that message and act accordingly. But if you begin to tell yourself, "I am learning, I am healing, I am growing," your body will also begin to align itself with that energy of renewal and strength. Listening to your body is one of the purest forms of self-love. Our thoughts do not simply stay in the mind. What we repeat over and over in our inner world, whether consciously or unconsciously, manifests in our bodies. The way we speak, our posture, our expressions, everything is a reflection of that internal dialogue we have been feeding for years. A person who lives with a constant frown, with drooping shoulders, or a hardened face did not get that way by accident. They were not thinking happy, loving, or hopeful thoughts. It was the result of sustained emotions like fear, anger, sadness, and hopelessness. All of that leaves marks not only on the soul but also on the skin, the muscles, and the bones. If you observe the faces and bodies of older people closely, you can see their inner story there. You can read in their expressions whether they lived more from a place of love or from a place of pain. And now I ask you, what story do you want your face and body to tell when you are old? I deeply believe that being healthy, feeling full and fulfilled in every area of our lives is not a privilege reserved for a few. It is a right that we all have from birth, a right that we often forget or set aside, but that we can always reclaim. Today, I want to help you reconnect with that right, to remind you that no matter what you have been through or where you are now, you can always choose to start a path of healing and transformation. Some of the ideas you are about to hear may seem simple, almost too simple, but do not be fooled by that simplicity. These tools have been proven time and again by thousands of people, and they truly work. They are small changes, small acts of consciousness that have the power to open up immense doors to your well-being and your fulfillment. Remember that everything you are about to hear here does not replace any medical treatment or professional support you are currently receiving. On the contrary, these tools are designed to be a complement, to enhance and support your healing process. They can help both you and those who are supporting you on your journey. Now I invite you to do something simple. Take a deep breath, find a comfortable position if you can, and just allow these ideas to flow through you like a seed falling onto fertile ground. You don't need to understand everything immediately. It doesn't matter if some part sounds new or strange to you. Your subconscious mind will know what to take in, what to register, and how to start working in your favor. Trust the process. What is meant for you will find its way to your heart. Something that can be difficult to accept at first, but is key to understanding, is that every illness is in a certain way self-generated. And no, that does not mean that we consciously want to get sick. No one wakes up saying, "Today I want to get sick." What happens is much more subtle. Through our thoughts, our unresolved emotions, and our daily internal dialogue, we create an atmosphere within ourselves. And when that atmosphere is charged with fear, resentment, guilt, or hopelessness, the body becomes vulnerable. The ground becomes fertile for illness to grow and thrive. Every word you say to yourself, every thought you hold, directly impacts your cells and your vital energy. Your body hears you, your body responds. That is why true healing doesn't begin in the body. It begins in the silent dialogue we have with ourselves every single day. Louise Hay recounted that on one occasion she heard something from a doctor that deeply impacted her. This doctor said, "If a surgeon operates on a patient but does not help them change the cause that originated their illness, all they are doing is prolonging their life until the patient creates another illness." For Louise, this idea was a revelation because she understood that true healing is not just about cutting, medicating, or eliminating symptoms. The real transformation happens when we look inward and work on the emotional and mental root that created that imbalance in the first place. Above all, she said that treating the body without attending to the heart and mind was like trying to dry up a puddle while the faucet was still on. That is why she insisted so much on something that makes more sense today than ever. Real healing begins within us. Right there in that deep place where our thoughts, our emotions, our wounds, and also our infinite capacity to heal are born. Each and every one of us is responsible for all the experiences we live, both the good ones and the most painful ones. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is built from the thoughts we choose to hold and the words we use to describe our lives. Every time we repeat phrases in our minds like, "I can't do it," "Life is unfair," "I'll never be lucky," we are programming our subconscious to confirm those beliefs, and the universe, which always responds to our internal vibration, is in charge of showing us this in the form of experiences. Our subconscious mind does not question. It does not distinguish between what is good or bad for us. It simply accepts as truth everything that we decide to believe. That is why changing the way we think and talk about ourselves is not a minor detail. It is literally changing the direction of our entire life. I choose thoughts that nourish my life and build my well-being. Every word I utter creates new opportunities for love, health, and abundance for me. Every day, I am more conscious of the power I have to transform my reality. Today, I decide to believe in my infinite ability to create a life filled with peace, joy, and fulfillment. Sometimes we forget that we have an unlimited number of choices about what to think. We are not tied to the thoughts we have today. We can choose to change them. We can choose beliefs that strengthen us instead of weakening us. But of course, when we are very young, we do not have that awareness yet. We learn to see ourselves and to understand life through the eyes of the adults who surround us. If you grew up in an environment full of fear, sadness, or frustration, it is likely that you absorbed many negative beliefs. Perhaps you were taught, unintentionally, that the world was dangerous, that love was scarce, or that you were not good enough to deserve everything. And the most important thing to understand is that even though those beliefs were born many years ago, you may still be carrying them today without even realizing it. But here is the good news. What you once learned, you can also unlearn. You have the power to choose new thoughts, thoughts that build, that heal, and that restore your confidence in yourself and in life. Now, it is important to understand something fundamental. This is not about blaming our parents. Louise Hay reminded us that everyone on some level is a victim of victims. Our parents could only teach us what they themselves knew, and many times that was very little. If your mother did not know how to love herself, how could she have taught you to love yourself? If your father did not know how to be kind and affectionate, how could he have shown you that tenderness? They could not give you what they never received. This is not a justification for what you may have experienced, but it is an invitation to look at your history with more understanding and less blame. Your parents did the best they could with the tools they had, just as their parents did before them. And now the responsibility, and also the gift, is in your hands. You can break those patterns and build something different for yourself. If you look at your life with attention, you will realize something very powerful. Many experiences repeat themselves, situations that seem different, but that deep down have the same emotional root. Louise Hay made us see that this is no coincidence. We live the same stories over and over again because they reflect something we still believe about ourselves, something that needs to be seen, healed, and transformed. Perhaps you have repeated relationships where you are not valued, jobs where you are not recognized, or patterns of self-sabotage that seem to never end. And this is not because you deserve it, but because on an internal level, there is an old belief that is still active. The point of power is always in the present moment. Everything you have lived until now, every experience, every situation has been shaped by the thoughts and beliefs you held in the past. But the most important thing to understand is that you are not trapped in that story. What you think, believe, and affirm today, at this very moment, is what is shaping your tomorrow. Every word you choose, every thought you decide to hold, is planting the seeds of your future, and that returns all the power to you, because no matter what has happened before, what you choose to believe and feel today, right here and now, has the power to change everything. Your current internal dialogue is creating your tomorrow, your next week, your next month, your next year, and so on. Observe what you are thinking right now. Do you want this thought to create your future? Is it a positive or negative thought? Just observe it and become conscious of it. Even when we feel hatred towards ourselves, deep down, we are not hating ourselves as human beings. What we are really hating is a thought that we have believed about ourselves. Maybe at some point you accepted an idea like "I am a bad person," and by believing it, that thought began to generate a feeling of guilt, of shame, of internal rejection, a feeling that with time became bigger and heavier. But here is the key. The feeling did not arise on its own. It was created by the thought you chose to hold. And if that thought can be eliminated or transformed, the feeling can also disappear. You are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are the one who chooses in this moment to build a new way of seeing and feeling about yourself. And that power is already in your hands. Thoughts can change. And when you change a thought, the feeling that thought was causing also begins to disappear, even if it doesn't always seem that way. We choose what we think. We may be so accustomed to repeating the same thoughts over and over again that we no longer even notice. But at some point, even if it was unconsciously, we made that initial choice. And the good news is that we can always refuse to give space to the thoughts that harm us. For example, if every day you silently repeat, "I am not good enough," it is normal to feel insecure, small, or to sabotage yourself when you try to move forward. But if you begin to detect that thought and slowly replace it with a new one like, "I am valuable just as I am," the feeling of insecurity will also begin to weaken. You change the thought, and the emotion changes with you. If you stop to observe, you will realize something that many people experience, although few talk about it openly. Deep down, almost all of us carry some form of guilt or self-rejection. The stronger that burden is, the less our life flows. We have a hard time expressing what we feel. We are afraid to defend our needs, and we end up trapped in two patterns that drain us. Either we live trying to please everyone to feel accepted, or we become explosive, full of contained anger that comes out at the least expected moment. This internal struggle does not appear overnight. It is the result of years of believing that we were not enough, of carrying guilt that did not belong to us, of not having allowed ourselves to love ourselves as we deserved. But here is the most important truth. That story does not have to keep repeating itself. Every small act of love towards yourself has the power to change everything. Now I ask you, what story do you want to keep feeding inside you? Are you going to choose to continue fighting with yourself, or are you going to start building a new relationship based on love and acceptance? If negative beliefs about who you are and what you deserve are still active within you, it is normal for life to feel like a constant struggle. Because even though in your conscious mind you desire love, joy, prosperity, and health, deep down your unconscious beliefs will be sabotaging every step you take. It's like wanting to move forward while something inside you is pulling you back. A part of you silently repeats, I don't deserve that much. I'm not good enough. It's possible for others but not for me. Maybe you see someone with a beautiful relationship and think, that's not for me. Or you see others achieving their goals, and instead of feeling inspired, you are invaded by an automatic thought, I could never achieve something like that. And as long as those invisible thoughts remain active, no matter how hard you try, they will continue to raise silent barriers between you and the life you truly want to build. Until you transform those internal beliefs, it will be like running a race with a weight tied to your feet, watching as others move forward lightly while you wonder why it is always so difficult for you. Healing is not a matter of luck. Healing is a matter of daring to change what we think about ourselves. Something we must understand if we truly want to transform our lives is that resentment, criticism, guilt, and fear do not only rob us of our peace, they also end up making our bodies sick and sabotaging our experiences. These feelings are born when we blame others for what happens to us, when we give someone else power over our happiness, our health, or our destiny. But here is the most liberating and also the most challenging truth. If we are responsible for everything that happens to us, then there is really no one to blame. What we see on the outside, the relationships, the problems, the obstacles, are nothing more than a mirror reflecting what we carry within. Taking on this responsibility does not mean blaming or punishing yourself. It means recognizing the power you have to change your life from within. Because if everything starts with you, then the key to healing, growing, and building the life you truly desire is also within you. Responsibility is not a burden, it is the doorway to your freedom. This does not mean justifying the bad behavior of others. It does not mean that what they did was okay, or that we should accept or allow it. But we do need to understand something crucial. Our internal beliefs attract the people and experiences that resonate with them. If an unconscious belief exists within you that you do not deserve to be respected, it is likely that you will attract people who criticize you, ignore you, or take advantage of you. This is not because you are less than. It is because your energy, the way you see yourself, is giving them a silent permission to treat you that way. When you repeat phrases like, they always criticize me, no one takes me seriously, or everyone takes advantage of me, you are actually describing an internal pattern that is still active, a pattern that does not disappear by changing people, but by changing the way you value and see yourself. When you transform your internal belief, you also change the quality of the people and experiences that come into your life. If you want to change something in your life, whether it's a painful situation or a physical problem, the first step is not outside. The first step is within you and begins with something as simple and powerful as declaring it. Say to yourself with full intention, I am willing to let go of what within me created this situation. As clear as that, as direct as that, every time you think about that problem, that pain, that obstacle, repeat it in your mind or out loud. I am willing to release the pattern that created this. And again, repeat it out loud and with all the positive energy you can muster. I am willing to let go of what within me created this situation. By simply declaring this willingness, you are already beginning to heal. The moment you repeat this affirmation, you stop being a victim. You are no longer powerless. You are reclaiming your power. Even if you don't understand everything now, you are saying, I recognize that something in me contributed to creating this, and now I choose to release it. It is a powerful declaration, a seed that your subconscious mind can begin to transform starting today. Resentment held for a long time eats away at the body and turns into what we call cancer. Guilt always seeks punishment and generates pain. Fear arises from not trusting the process of life. The most precious thing we have is our breath. If we didn't take another breath, we couldn't survive for more than 3 minutes. Yet we trust so much that the next breath will come that we don't even think about it. Remember, your limiting beliefs are just thoughts, and thoughts can change. Let's change them now. The only thing you truly have control over is your present thought. Loving yourself begins with never criticizing yourself for anything. Criticism only keeps us trapped in the same pattern we want to change. Understanding and tenderness toward ourselves help us break free from that cycle. After all, you've been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked, has it? So, now let's try loving ourselves and see what happens. And so we come to the end of this message. I sincerely hope that everything we have shared today has touched you in some way and has reminded you of the enormous power that lives within you. Now I would love to hear from you. How do you feel after listening to this message? What questions do you have? Do you feel that this video can help you in your healing process? Leave your comment below. I will be reading and responding to each of your messages because I truly care about accompanying you on this journey. If you liked this content, I invite you to give it a like and subscribe so that we can continue growing together. And if you feel that you need more support or have something you want to share with me more personally, you can write to me at the email address in the description. I am here for you. And to conclude, I want to give you a phrase from Louise Hay that summarizes this entire journey we have taken together today. It doesn't matter what has happened in your life so far. This is a new moment, and you have the power to start over. I wish you a wonderful day full of love, light, and hope. The power of forgiveness and self-acceptance. Louise Hay taught us that true healing is incomplete without forgiveness. Many times, we carry a heavy burden of resentment and anger, not only towards others, but also, and more importantly, towards ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, holding on to mistakes and past failures as if they were a permanent part of our identity. But Louise saw a profound truth. Forgiveness is not something we do for others. It's a gift we give ourselves. It's the key that unlocks the door to our own freedom. For example, think of a person who has held a grudge for years. That anger doesn't hurt the person they're mad at. It silently eats away at their own peace and happiness, manifesting as tension, stress, and even physical ailments. Louise would say that every time we think, "I can't forgive them," we are essentially chaining ourselves to that past pain. The act of saying, "I choose to forgive and release you," is a powerful declaration that sets us free. It doesn't mean we are condoning the action, but that we are choosing to no longer let it define our present or future. This also applies to forgiving ourselves. We must learn to let go of the guilt and self-criticism that we have accumulated over the years. Louise reminded us that we did the best we could with the knowledge and resources we had at the time. There is no such thing as a perfect person, and mistakes are simply lessons in disguise. By forgiving ourselves, we create a space for self-love to flourish. We can begin to see ourselves not as a collection of our flaws, but as a person worthy of all the good things that life has to offer, including health, happiness, and peace. Healing your inner child. Many of our deepest beliefs and wounds originate in our childhood. The child within us, who once felt unloved, unheard, or unworthy, still influences our adult life in subtle and profound ways. Louise Hay encouraged us to connect with this inner child, to look at them with compassion, and to give them the love and validation they didn't receive back then. It's about consciously nurturing that part of ourselves that needs to feel safe and accepted. A simple yet powerful exercise is to visualize yourself as a child. Look into their eyes and tell them what they needed to hear most. Say, "You are loved, you are safe, you are enough, just as you are." By repeating these affirmations, you are not only healing old wounds, but also rewriting the script that has been running in your subconscious mind for so long. You are becoming the loving and supportive parent that your inner child always deserved. This act of conscious parenting yourself is a transformative step on the path to true self-love and radical healing. The journey of gratitude. Louise Hay saw gratitude as one of the most powerful tools for transformation. She taught that, where there is gratitude, there is no room for fear or negativity. By focusing on what we are thankful for, we shift our energy from a state of lack to a state of abundance. This doesn't mean ignoring our problems, but rather choosing to see the good that already exists in our lives, no matter how small. Start your day by thinking of 3 things you are grateful for. It could be as simple as the sun shining, a warm cup of coffee, or the comfort of your bed. End your day by reflecting on the good things that happened, a kind word from a friend, or a moment of laughter. This consistent practice trains your mind to look for the positive and to feel the feeling of appreciation. It's a simple habit that has the power to change your entire perspective and to attract more goodness into your life. The power of affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that, when repeated with intention, can reprogram our subconscious mind and transform our reality. Louise Hay was a pioneer in the use of affirmations and taught that they are a way of choosing new thoughts and beliefs that support our health and well-being. She encouraged us to use them daily, especially in moments of difficulty or when we feel overwhelmed. Some of her most powerful affirmations include: all is well in my world. I am safe. I am loved. I am enough. I forgive myself and set myself free. My body knows how to heal itself, and I support it in its healing. I am open and receptive to all the good in my life. Choose 1 or 2 affirmations that resonate with you and repeat them throughout the day. Say them with conviction, as if they were already true. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what you are simply thinking. By consistently affirming positive statements, you are telling your mind and your body, "This is the reality I am choosing to create." And when you do that, you are actively participating in your own healing and creation. As you continue on this journey, remember that healing is not a destination but a process. It is a journey of small and conscious changes, of choosing love over fear, forgiveness over resentment, and self-acceptance over self-criticism. Every day you have the opportunity to take a step forward, no matter how small. And remember, the power to heal and transform your life is not outside of you. It is already within you, waiting to be rediscovered. What step will you take today to honor your well-being?